what is the transition from pure practitioner to moving to a kind of an executive, a CEO strategic role? What are things that when you do think about firm management, when you think about running the firm, what's important? What's that shift look like? What was that like for you? How has that evolved over the years? We'll start with Tim, and then we'll pass it back to Jody on that one.
Thanks, Dave. I think that that's my gosh, you could teach a full semester college class on that question, I think, as you've gone through it. And I think a lot of it depends upon the personality of the person that's moving into that CEO space. Are they, for lack of a better terminology, are they a control freak, or are they someone who trusts right away? What is it that their personality is like? And then again, I go back to defining success for what they want the role to look like. And I really do think that there's a planning that goes into that when you make that new hire and you start transitioning into more of an executive role as an owner. It's being clear about what you expect of yourself and what you think you can get done, and making sure that the staff people have realistic goals and expectations of what they're supposed to do, but also clearly understanding what's expected of them by the person that's performing in the CEO function. I know that's a pretty vague answer, but without really getting more specific about personalities, some CEOs want to be dictatorial. Some people like Jody and I want to be incredibly collaborative and enjoy the team environment. And I think it really depends upon the culture that particular CEO wants to have.
Yeah, that's so important, and I just want to emphasize that point that when you look out into the world, we see so many success stories overnight, and success and this and that and this and that. But a great CEO in one place may not be a fit in another place, and we've talked about culture, and that just reinforces this idea that as you're building this firm, you determine and you get to work with your team to decide on the culture and how you want to show up and behave, and the clients and the team you want to attract. And so I love your point on it. It's very contextual to how you want to run your firm and what that looks like. And you mentioned a couple of times, I think, defining what success is for you and how you want to show up in the world, how you want your team to operate in your firm, your clients. It's very, very important. Jody, as you've gone on this journey to moving into very strategic level, CEO level, executive level, what were some things that you had to either shift in terms of a mindset or questions or dynamics? Somebody that's going through that right now, what do they need to be aware of as they try to make this own transition in their firm?
Well, I think it's an opportunity to know that you're always going to grow, because obviously the firm that I started 10 years ago doesn't look like the firm it is today. And we just hired our first full-time tax manager, so I will not be touching any tax returns this tax season, which is huge for me. Like it's hard to let go of that, right? But on the flip side, I know that we have to do it for us to grow the way that I want to grow, and so it's pushing me to the next level. So I think that's the hardest thing, is because you think, oh, like I got this now. It's going to be all good, and all this stuff is, and then like something changes, and you have to grow with the change. So to me, that's the hardest thing. But on the other side of it, it's like the fun part, right? It's like you're always growing, and I think that if you want to move out of that that technician role into a CEO role, is to just know that it's always going to be different. It's always going to be changing and challenging. And sometimes it's fun and sometimes it's not so fun, but it's certainly, it's very different than looking at a tax return every day.